This is an introduction to the Maryland State Department of Education's iTempera Standard Setting module. You sign in to the Standard Setting module by pointing your browser at itempera.org/md. Assuming you have signed and returned the non-disclosure agreement we sent you, you should have received an email from content@itempera.org with your iTempera username and initial password. Use that to sign in as a standard setting judge up here in the upper right corner. The first time you sign in, the system will require you to change your password. We recommend writing down your new password because if you forget it, the only way to fix the problem is to have us reset it. If this happens, contact me at paul.catula@maryland.gov. If you've signed into the standard setting module well in advance of the standard setting meeting, it's very possible that the standard setting test form won't be loaded from iTempera's item banks yet. In this case, the system will automatically log you out as shown here. Try signing in a few days later. Closer to the meetings and during the meetings, you'll probably be signed up for 2 or more test forms, one being the real standard setting form that will contribute to the panel's recommendations for cut scores, and the others being practice tests that help you learn how to use the system to enter your judgments given your content expertise and the performance level descriptors you'll develop during the meeting. If your facilitator makes more than one form available simultaneously, you'll have to choose which form you want to use. If only one form is available at a time, you'll be taken directly to the home page for that form, as you see here after making a choice of test form. For the purposes of this introduction, we're going to load a few American government and music history items into a very short practice test form that we'll use for demonstrating the system. These items are not secure, and in fact, some of the information about these items may be incorrect. On the home page for the test form, you'll see the performance level descriptors, or PLDs, on the left panel. Initially, these are the mid-range PLDs at each performance level, but you'll be editing them during the meeting, turning them into the all-important threshold PLDs at performance levels 2, 3, and 4. After you convert them to threshold PLDs for borderline students who just barely qualify at each performance level, the system will automatically update them on the home page and on each of the items in the form that use those PLDs. On the right panel, you'll see the meeting's agenda for each day. If there are any links available, such as links to surveys you need to complete during the course of the meeting, those links will also be available here. The standard setting module has just one menu, the action menu. Here you'll find links to this video and system documentation, as well as links that will allow you to change your password and sign out of the system. The system will log you out automatically after so many minutes of inactivity, but it's always a good idea to log out explicitly whenever you walk away. Most importantly, the action menu has a link called First Item, which will take you to the first question on the test form you signed up for. Starting at the right, you'll be able to read the complete test map for the form you're working on. It may be divided into sections, and it will show the judgments you've entered for each item in the current judgment round. In the middle of the page is the item content itself. You'll be able to select one of several tabs, including a tab for the item, a tab showing the key or correct answer, and a tab showing the threshold PLDs and possibly the content standards this item is aligned to. For science and other contents that have associated passages and sources, there is a stimuli tab. On the test, students see the stimuli or sources presented in several tabs at the left, but in the standard setting module, the stimuli are simply presented in order under the single stimuli tab. For constructed response questions like this one, the correct tab is a little different, since it features the scoring rubric that's used for this question and any exemplar high-level responses that may have been written by the content specialist who edited the item. Constructed response questions also feature a scoring tab, which shows you common student responses at each score point. You can use these to estimate what a borderline student at each of the performance levels might have written and what score they might have received. The item is functional in terms of any technology-enhanced items, but the style of the presentation, such as the color choices or fonts, may not be exactly the same as students experience. The functionality of the item preview in iTempera is equivalent to what students experience, though. For example, the test delivery platform restricts student choices on multiple select items like this one. The message they get when they try to select too many may be a little different, but the functionality of preventing too many selections is equivalent to what students experience. Finally, at the left are the judgment sliders. Answer the critical question for each borderline performance level and move the sliders off the 0 mark, which means you have not entered a judgment for that borderline student. Once you move the slider for a given performance level off the 0 mark, the judgment will change to no, then to yes. Be sure to enter judgments for each performance level. Then click the Submit Judgment button. That'll save your judgments. And note that when I submitted the judgment, the test map changed to reflect the judgment I just posted. It'll also change color to blue to indicate that the judgment is complete for that item. The question and the sliders look a little different on items that count for more than one raw score point. Instead of going from no to yes, these judgments start at a score of 0 and go up to the maximum point value allowed for each item. Now, the system will accept whatever judgments you enter. But if you think about it, on a question like this, a borderline performance level 4 student isn't likely to get a lower score than a borderline performance level 3 student. If you happen to enter a lower score for level 4 than for level 3, the system will warn you and also flag that question on the administrator's control panel. We don't recommend that you do this since it makes the cut score recommendations that come out of the standard setting less defensible, since the form includes items that standard setters think are invalid in some way. Below the judgment panel, you can type in any notes or comments and click the Post New Comment button. Feel free to take any notes here. Your comments are not seen by other judges or by the facilitator. The second tab down here will show you your progress in the current round in terms of raw points, and it'll also remind you of any judgments you might have given for this item in previous rounds. When you see that all the items in the test form have acceptable judgments from you, you're done with the current round. The facilitator will tabulate the results and lead a discussion on any items that have discrepancies. They may also lock out any changes or advance the meeting to the next round. You'll still be able to view the items, but judgments won't be saved. Finally, remember to sign out whenever you leave your computer and after the meeting is over. Thank you once again for your participation in this important standard setting.